Welcome back to our weekly market wrap. Equity markets ended the truncated week on a strong note, supported by the tariff pause, expectations of trade negotiations, easing inflation, and corporate earnings. So, stay tuned, and by the end of this video, we'll unpack the key drivers behind these gains and what lies ahead. This week, the Sensex surged 4.5%, while the Nifty 50 jumped 4.5%. The mid-cap index rose 4.2% and the small-cap index gained 4.7%. These movements reflect investor optimism from easing global trade tensions and a supportive domestic earnings season. Let's take a look at this week's key economic updates. India's wholesale inflation eased to 2.1% in March 2025 from 2.4% in February and 0.3% in March 2024. Driven by rising prices in food products, textiles, and electricity. Retail inflation fell to 3.3% in March, from 3.6% in February. India's trade deficit widened to $21.5 billion in March 2025, up from $15.6 billion a year ago. Imports rose 11.4% to $63.5 billion, the highest ever for March, while exports rose marginally by 0.7% to $42.0 billion. Globally, in the UK, the employment rate rose to 75.1% for December 2024, February 2025, while payrolled employees declined 0.3% month-on-month in March. Wage growth stood at 5.9%, slightly up from 5.8%, while overall wage growth was at 5.6%. Eurozone inflation eased to 2.2% in March from 2.3% in February, while UK inflation stood at 2.6%. Markets now await the European Central Bank's rate decision, with expectations of another rate cut amid ongoing global tariff concerns. Among the top gainers this week, Inducing Bank surged 15.2% after an external audit confirmed that the 1,979 crore derivative loss was in line with earlier estimates, easing investor concerns. Axis Bank rose 11.4% as the cut in savings account interest rate to 2.75% is expected to improve net interest margins and profitability. Shriram Finance gained 8.2%. Due to strong market performance and a recent credit rating upgrade. On the downside, among the losers, we had Zydus Life Sciences dropped 4.2% after a US court upheld Astellas Pharma's patent for Myrbetriq, blocking Zydus from launching its generic version in the US. Anand Rathi fell 3.6% amid broader weakness in the financial sector and concerns over potential overvaluation. Nava Ltd declined 3.1% amid broader market pressure and increased volatility. In the unlisted space, HDFC Securities reported an 18% profit rise in FY25 compared to the previous year. BlueSmart may shut down its cab services and is exploring a partnership with Uber as a fleet provider. Other high-interest unlisted companies include MSEI, NSE, Apollo Green Energy, Pharmacy, CSK, NSDL, and Tata Capital. That wraps up this week's market highlights. Here's what to watch in the week ahead. Next week, investor sentiment on Dalal Street remains positive, driven by strong domestic fundamentals and stable global cues. As Q4 FY25 earnings unfold, corporate results will steer market direction. However, concerns like high US bond yields, geopolitical risks, and policy uncertainty may limit gains. On the 23rd of April 2025, we'll get HSBC's Flash Composite, Manufacturing and Services PMI data for April. In March, the India Composite PMI rose to 59.5 with the Manufacturing PMI revised up to 58.1 and the Services PMI adjusted to 58.5. On the 24th of April 2025, the US will release durable goods orders and existing home sales data for March. And also on the radar, Japan's Jibun Bank, Flash Manufacturing and Services PMI for April. That's all for today. Subscribe to Tikona Capital for more insights and wealth-building opportunities from the themes of the decade. Visit us at tikonacapital.smallcase.com to explore thematic investments in the Amrit Kaal. Don't forget to like, comment and share. See you next week.